tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. Probably shouldn't even have gone live. It's kind of eating up the day. I'm not doing much today. I did all my chores over the weekend. Monday is usually the day I just kind of relax. I don't get into much, nothing too deep. It's an emotional rest day for me. Today we're talking about you can't transmit something you haven't gotten. There's just not much coming to mind. There was earlier. That's why I picked the topic. Now not much is coming to mind. All right. Let's see what happens. We may just have to pick something out of the big book and read it. I'm not sure how long. I'm not sure I can talk on this topic for very long. Maybe I don't need to. Maybe I don't need to. All right. So, yeah. Yeah, I see a lot of, here's the thing. Let's see, there's a lot of posts and stuff that utilize what people learned in AA to turn it into their own stuff. Just stealing stuff. So let's just go ahead and kind of get to it. I don't know if this is going to be very long because suddenly I'm not up for it either. Welcome to Daily Trudge. I'm Dion. I'm your host. Good afternoon, Leisure. Good to see you. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Now, this doesn't have to do with just AA, but I have noticed a few things. And of course, a lot of this will be opinion. Partly experience, partly opinion. If you have not finished the steps, you don't get to sponsor yet. You got to finish the steps first. That includes 12. You doing service work? To me, sponsoring is not 12-step work. That is not service work to me. No, that is ensuring my sobriety. All right. Can we be a closed mouth friend? Absolutely, you can. Absolutely, you can. Be careful handing out advice, though. Be careful handing out advice. Good afternoon, Michelle. Good to see you. I don't really see this as in AA as much as I do somebody that's got 6 months of sobriety and is a recovery coach and suddenly thinks that they know something better than most of the other people do. They just start feeling better. Things get better, but you cannot transmit something that you do not have. If you don't have serenity, you can't pass that on. If you don't have sobriety, you can't pass that on. Okay. If you're not happy yourself, if you're not stable yourself, you cannot pass on stability. Right? This usually has to do with things that exceed the arena that we are in. When I sponsor, there is a clinical side to me, but a lot of my sponsees are in therapy, and it is for the therapist to do. They're getting paid for that, like goal setting. So I don't teach goal setting. Okay. Why do I not teach goal setting? Because I really don't do it myself. All right. People tend to argue with me on this. if you want to get into the field of alcoholism and get paid for it, at least at the very minimum 1 year. Minimum. I would prefer 2. I would prefer 5. See, there are some things only time can take care of. Well, if you're working with somebody, you haven't dealt with some trauma that happened to you before and suddenly it shows up, right? How am I going to get somebody through something else if I have not done this myself? Misinformation in recovery has the power to kill. Now, and it isn't just recovery. I'm kind of getting tired of people posting things without doing a little bit of research first. You know, I go look at it and all you really got to do is ask Google. It'll kind of tell you. It'll kind of tell you what's going on with it. It'll go collect all the information, bring it back. All right. So the challenge here, okay, here's a good example. Maybe I'm working with a guy, 3, 4 months, boy meets girl, boy falls in lust. He thinks it's love, but he doesn't understand love yet. But Dion, I really like her. This, first of all, this is going to detract from your own. It takes a lot of but that's not the point in this. The point is maybe you got to become a better person. Maybe get to a place where you're worth having, where you have a certain set of ideals. I do not know what GTS means, Leisure, so you're going to have to let me know what that TLA means. TLA being a 3-letter acronym. Geek joke. Geek joke. Woo, 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 woo. Right? Otherwise, people will run around and they'll say things like, oh, you got to get sober for yourself. There's no other way. Right? People are being fooled by what is called evidence-based treatment. Okay? Evidence-based treatment is utilized in AA, but it is utilized to create an awareness for yourself. We show the evidence. What would be evidence-based treatment in what we do? An intervention. So evidence-based treatment, what it does is it gets you to a place where you can figure out what treatment you need. It is not an actual treatment in and of itself. Right? Oh, well, now I tell you that I mention it every week on my podcast and you haven't been paying attention. Well, gee, I kind of feel set up. I'll remember everything. Right? I ain't even gonna Google it just because you're being pissy about it. He's not, guys. I'm just messing with Leisure. He's gonna tell us eventually because he's gonna want us to know. It's just a man thing. Mansplain that shit to us, Leisure. GTA. Oh, wrong one. That's Grand Theft Auto. GTS. George T. Sanders Wheatridge. GTS distribution. Go to sleep. That's what I found. I haven't been able to match it up in my head yet. I turn my head off on Mondays. I really don't usually have much to say. I don't even really have much to say on this. And hi, Claire. It's good to see you. Just gotta be careful. We gotta be careful on what we're doing out there. This doesn't really have to do with AA. Although I was in a meeting the other day and some guy was trying to convince people that Bill didn't do the steps and that the Oxford group doesn't have 6 steps and they don't have any steps and he's actually correct in that they call them tenets. So if we're gonna argue over it, then that would be it. You know, we call this gaslighting. It's when you see information that aligns with how you feel about things, and then you post it, and then you post it. Leisure, I'm just gonna let you know I'm not. I have no idea what you're talking about. So maybe you're just telling me to go to sleep. All right. Let's read out of the big book. I really don't have much to say on it. What it comes down to is we've got to experience these things first. Like a 12 step call, I wouldn't be able to explain to you what it's like to be on a 12 step call unless I've actually done it. You know, um, a good thing or a good example on this is uh, I was just talking to somebody, and what they do is they run the CPC. CPC is the committee for professionals through AA, and they're doing a lot of great stuff. And I would actually, if there's a group that I've met in Colorado that's on the up and up, that's exciting, that's getting things done, it's this committee. And I would challenge you I would challenge you to check them out. Um, I brought up a couple ideas where, sometimes these people work from home and things like that, we could do these things on, if you go on CPC, you might be able to go in front of professionals, tell a little bit about your story. You get to, you sit on a panel and pretty much just answer people's questions is what you do. Right. So, let's do something here. Give me a random number between 1 and 164. That's
134.
That is not, well, we know where that's at, don't we? Clara Joyce knows what 134 is because it's really close to 132. Family afterwards. But what I was going to say is, as long as that number doesn't fall in 2 wives or 2 employers, right? So we go to 134, which is just the end of the family afterwards. All right. Okay, let's just start at the top, page 134. Word about sex relations. Alcohol is so sexually stimulating that some men that they have overindulged. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I'm not going to sit here and tell you my war stories on that. Let's just say Dion was kind of a slut. Couples are occasionally dismayed to find that when drinking is stopped, the man tends to be impotent. Not important, impotent. Unless the reason is understood, there may be an emotional upset. Some of us had this experience only to enjoy in a few months a finer intimacy than ever. There should be no hesitancy in consulting a doctor or psychologist if the condition persists. We do not know of many cases where this difficulty has lasted long. I'm going to tell you something. I had to tell you, no, this has lasted a lot longer with Dion, years. I don't know what it is about my brain, but the thought of sex feels overwhelming. It just does. It feels emotionally overwhelming. I still fear it. I do. I have a huge fear. And it is something that I'm working on. I'm as open with my wife about it as I can be. Okay. Some of it had to do with the meds that I was on too. But there's just something going on in my brain where it is not making that connection. So that is as far as I'm going to go with that, just to let you know that, yeah, I experienced it. The alcoholic may find it hard to reestablish friendly relations with his children. Their young minds were impressionable while he was drinking without saying so. They may cordially hate him for what he has done to them and their mother. There was nothing cordial about it with my kids. They were very clear on how they felt. They kind of got dad's attitude. All right. They didn't cordially hate me, and they had every right to not like me. They had every right. Yeah. I was I wasn't man, I'm just sitting here confessing, aren't I? I was an absentee father for a very, very long time. My kids did eventually understand that it was because I just didn't want them around my drinking. In their teenage years, they got to experience dad's drinking, and that just made it worse. For what both my kids, they have different mothers. I have different baby mamas, as we say it nowadays, right? And I didn't treat them very well, and they developed a resentment against me for it, and kind of rightfully so, man. It's kind of a protection thing, you know. Um, so they're young, without saying so. The children are sometimes dominated by a pathetic hardness and cynicism. They cannot seem to forgive and forget. This may hang on for months, long after their mother has accepted dad's new way of living and thinking. Well, these are exes, and my exes I don't think really wanted to believe that I had changed. And that's their right. That is their right. You know, been a long time now, and I think that view even with my exes has changed because now my kids go back and they're like, well, dad's like this and dad's like that, and um a lot of shit talk about me, but at the same time, didn't I kind of have it coming? You know, am I really gonna am I really gonna turn around, point the finger at them for things that I am doing? It's a hard one, man. It's a tough one. We want our kids back. Hey, said months. It took me years. Hey, I went really, really, really far down. So for a lot of people, for maybe some of the people that are a little bit younger that decided to get sober earlier, your chances are a little different, or it's a little different for you. You know, sometimes I work with people, they're divorced, and the other person has the kids, and they want to see their kids, but they got to jump through a bunch of hoops to get there. Well, I understand that. I had to show a lot of commitment first before I was trusted again. I had to put in a lot of effort. I'd blown a lot of trust for so many years that it was going to take time for that trust to come back. Um, and I had to get to a point where I stopped blaming everybody else for hating me. If they want to hate, then they can hate. I don't get to determine that. You know, I don't fight with my exes. I don't. No, I don't do any of that. Um, if I have a chance in front of my children to compliment their mother, then I'll go out of my way to do it because they don't need to hear some of the things from the past coming out of my mouth. No, it is not for me to make my kids take sides or anything else. So whenever I have a chance to compliment my exes, I'll do it. I didn't marry those women because I hated them. There had to have been something there, something good. All right. So In their own time, in time, they will see that he is a new man, and in their own way, they will let him know. When this happens, they can be invited to join in morning meditation, and they can take their part in the daily discussions without rancor or bias. From that point on, progress will be rapid. Marvelous results often follow such a reunion. Hey, my family, well, my youngest daughter and my mom started showing up to my AA meetings. My mom even called me last week, said, "Do you mind that I'm going to those meetings? I might talk about something in my past that might make you uncomfortable." And my answer was, "No, no, no. You do what you need to do. We're there to help people. I will get over it, Mom. I understand that you're human and that you made mistakes. I'm okay with it." See? Progress will become rapid. Whether the family goes on a spiritual basis or not, the alcoholic member has to if he would recover. The others must be convinced of his new status beyond a shadow of doubt. Seeing is believing to most families who have lived with a drinker. We spent years bringing down the house, burning down the house. Oh, all house. Here's a case in point. One of our friends is a heavy smoker and coffee drinker. There's no doubt he overindulged. Seeing this and meaning to be helpful, his wife commenced to admonish him about it. He admitted he was overdoing these things, but frankly said that he was not ready to stop. His wife, and one of those persons who really, his wife is one of those persons who really feels that something is rather sinful about these commodities. So she nagged, and her intolerance finally threw him into a fit of anger. He got drunk. Of course, our friend was wrong, dead wrong. He had to painfully admit and mend his spiritual fences. Though he is now a most effective member of Alcoholics Anonymous, he still smokes and drinks coffee, but neither his wife or anyone else stands in judgment. She sees that she was wrong after to make a burning issue out of such a matter when his more serious ailments were being rapidly cured. Yeah, some of us kind of go through things and start to let go of things through time. Some people let go of all of it at once. Great job. If you were able to do that, great job. We have three little mottos which are apropos. Here they are. First things first, live and let live, and easy does it. So, once again, I probably didn't have any business going live. I was just trying to pass some time. So, hopefully, somebody got something out of that. I hope that everybody has a great day. Thank you for being here. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.